Of the Templeton Board of Selectmen to order. If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item that we have today in our last select board meeting in this building is our town administrator report.
Mr. Chairman, you should have copies of the special town meeting draft warrant with articles that were submitted as of today. That includes 2 citizen petitions. Also, I did travel around with the highway superintendent to the 11 streets that are proposed for resurfacing, Chapter 90 and pothole funds, and I can attest that those streets are desperately in need of resurfacing. I also did meet with the individual who comes from Orchard Lane about these projects. And Orchard Lane is number 7 on that list, and try to provide some assurance that that is also going to be done, and also very desperately in need. We're still collecting taxes, although I got the good news today from the town accountant, who said that our cash flow problem seems to be over. We have enough cash now, even before the first tax bills are sent out for fiscal 15 next week, to cover our needs through the end of August. So presumably, if normal collections take place with the first quarter tax bill next year, the whole business of temporary borrowing is also over. We won't have to do it and spend money on interest. Also, I believe the board is aware that Moody's Investment Services is withdrawing the town's bond rating. This is not welcome news. We must have audits of fiscal 2013 and fiscal 2014 before we can request another bond rating. And so, as we had discussed earlier, funds are in the budget for the new fiscal year to conduct an audit of 2014, and both our auditor, Sullivan and Rogers, they have a new name, which I forget, but the auditor has suggested that we not skip 2013, and that we take the funds that are in the budget and have an audit of 2013, and then find funds during the current year, during the new year, that is, find funds, maybe free cash if necessary, to fund an audit of fiscal 2014. At that point, we can ask Moody's or Standard & Poor's to give the town another bond rating. Lack of a bond rating will not affect temporary borrowing if we need to do that, short-term borrowing, but obviously it means we can't do long-term borrowing. There was some question earlier, I think, from Selectman Farrell, what will this affect? Will it affect, for example, the light and water department? And the answer to that is, although the light and water department has used the town's bond rating in the past, they can more than likely do bonding if necessary by getting their own bond rating. Because they have a revenue stream with ratepayers, they certainly can get revenue bond funding and a bond rating. So they will not be affected. However, I'm not sure what the timing of the school project is going to be, but any bonding for the schools will be affected. And so that, if the town wants to go forward with that, then it's clear that we need to get those audits completed and restore the bond rating for the town.
And just on a side note, I spoke with the Superintendent Miller today, and she said that a likely vote would occur in, I believe, fall of 2015.
Oh, well.
I believe that's what she said.
Is
Is that correct? Okay. So we, So we wouldn't be looking to borrow money for more than,
No.
for a while.
No,
so.
that's good. That's not a problem. Also, end-of-year transfers are on your agenda tonight and on the advisory board's agenda for Wednesday night. And I had discussed contract with the new police chief, and was told by the chair of the select board that we'd like to have that put together by next week. So I'll, first thing in the morning, I'll be in touch. And we need to get that worked out so that we can have something in place for the beginning of the new fiscal year.
And if I could just add on to that as well, at the same time, that I would also like to have the contract for our new town administrator wrapped up as well. So we will likely, hopefully, be discussing that as well. That's it? Okay, great. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda are appointments, appointment policy, and to dissolve a defunct committee. I don't know if Holly wanted to say anything about the latter.
I put the appointment policy on there because we had an issue with somebody that didn't live in Templeton being on a board. So I thought we should have a policy, even if it's just a board policy, not a bylaw. So I came up with, if you want to read it, I'll let you read it.
Sure. Well, it's just appointment policy, proposed appointment policy for boards and committees. A non-resident of Templeton or its villages may not be appointed to any town board, committee, or commission with the exception of those that said non-residents are required to be on for their position with the town. And those boards, committees, or commissions will require other town boards to be represented on. Which require, excuse me, other town boards to be represented on.
I will make a motion that we adopt the appointment policy for boards and committees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
And the defunct committee, Templeton Common Improvement Committee, when I emailed the chairman, he said, I'm not on that anymore and it's defunct. So we need to just get rid of it. And I think that's a general consensus. I talked to a few of the members too.
I know private roads hasn't had,
Should we do that one too?
We never
we never
met.
met.
Okay.
Yeah.
So private roads and the common. And if we disband a committee in error that we shouldn't have, I'm sure will readily become apparent when we find out that we need to reinstate it, which of course is not a complicated thing to do, just private roads. Is there any discussion on this matter, or do I have a motion to dissolve those two committees?
How did that read,
Yes.
Julie? How did you propose, Julie, out of towners or what, on committees? What would you, when you begin?
Well, that's what this new, the one we just adopted, the appointment policy, we gotta find it again, a couple pages.
Is it that you have to be a resident in Templeton
Right.
to be on a board, unless like our town administrator obviously serves on board, so non-residents who need to for their job can. Yeah, sure.
Well, there's also some other, like, for instance, it might go with your job to be on a certain committee, not just the town administrator,
Oh,
but
right.
other people. They might work at the light department or the sewer department and be from Gardner, but they have to be on a committee because it goes with their job. So they would be allowed to do that. That's the exception.
Is there any discussion regarding dissolving private roads in the common?
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, so then we have a long list. If any select board member would like me to read the list of one-year appointments, oh, so there are some 3 years in there as well, and I'm imagining a 2 or 2. Let me know, and I will be happy to read all of them, but if not, we all have a copy provided to us. There were 2 particular ones that I wanted to inquire about since I'm on them both. One, and we have the chair here. For the elementary school building committee, should there be 1 representative from the Templeton Board of Selectmen, or how many? What does the committee's makeup say that there should be?
I think originally it was set up that way, and there isn't currently a.
Well, me.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Well, what was your question?
Is it just 1 representative from?
Yeah. I think that's the way, at one time Julie and I think Jeff Bennett was on at the same time.
Yeah,
correct?
Should-
and Hank and I were on at the same time.
I have 2 on my list.
Okay.
There should be 2 boards.
Oh, yeah,
good, okay.
it was spelled out what the makeup should be, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
perfect.
think it's 2. Do you know? That's what it says on my notes on my
Yeah,
list.
and we'll go with 2 unless there's a
Okay.
problem, we can.
Alright.
But those are currently myself, and I believe Selectwoman Haley Brooks asked to be on that. If anybody would like my spot, I mean, I'm happy to serve, but I don't want to hog any committee position. So if anybody would rather be on the elementary school building committee than have me do it, I'm fine, no hard feelings, and I will give that up. But just if there was anyone that had an interest. Okay. Guess that's no takers on that one. And then the other,
Nice try.
right, the other items on here that involve the Narragansett Regional School District School Budget Subcommittee. I know that the advisory board had put forth their members. I do not believe that they need our approval because the way it's the subcommittee is set up is that the Board of Selectmen selects their members to be representatives and the advisory board picks who they want to be their representative, so we don't basically have approval and say who we want from the advisory board to be on there. So I would make a motion, or accept a motion, to remove the advisory board members from, not from the subcommittee, but from us appointing them, because they do not require, at least my understanding, this board's approval or appointment onto the school budget subcommittee.
I will make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion about that? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. And my only other issue, which we can check on as well, and with the Narragansett School Budget Subcommittee, which I was on, that's how I know, is that as it is currently set up, there is one select person on the committee, and I noticed that that Selectwoman Farrell and myself are both on it, so I would be happy to step aside from, withdraw my nomination for that position on the budget subcommittee. I know that is the composition of the school committee has been an issue before, as it was explained this last time, and I only know this last time because that's when I was on the board. According to the chair of that committee, each town provides 1 select board member and 2, they have a finance committee, but 2 finance committee or advisory board members, and then there's the school committee members that are appointed by the school committee to be on that. And that there was some discussion and discourse regarding what that composition should be, whether it was ad hoc or not, what they wanted to do. But obviously the school budget subcommittee is a school regional school district entity, so they have the ability to decide how many people from each town are going to be on that. If any entity or person has a problem with that, then the proper venue to discuss that with would be with the school committee, because they are who decides that. So as it is right now, even though I know that it does not represent the proportion of the money or students that we give to the school district, I'd be happy to, I will withdraw my name from the school budget subcommittee so that we have 1 select person. And again, if there's an issue when that committee is reformed next year, that's an issue that can be brought up then with them. And if they decide that they want to have 2 selectmen from Templeton and 1 from Phillipston, or 2 from Phillipston, or then that, I guess, would be up to them to determine. But okay. Are there any other discussions about these names for nomination? If not, I'd be happy to accept a motion to accept or read it, whichever, and you prefer, read the list or approve it.
I would make a motion that we appoint the list as prepared without reading through the whole list.
Sure. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
We
Oh,
just
sorry.
have a few vacancies.
Sure.
For stormwater committee.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone's signed up for
Does,
that.
and we got rid of private roads, so.
Yeah, I think do we need 2 for stormwater?
I think just 1.
Oh, all right. Well, then
Sure,
we'll try
Okay.
that. Okay.
Doug is on it? Okay, maybe we do need 2 then. Maybe that's why I put it on.
Okay.
Remember. Somebody else wants to do it, we can do it next meeting if you want to do that.
Okay. Yeah. And if any Board of Selectmen member has an interest in being representative on the Stormwater Committee, feel free to email Holly with that. I don't think that we'll have any fistfights over that one. So I have a first and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. The next item that we have on the agenda is the gravel permits for Hicks. Holly, would you?
Are we gonna do all the appointments?
That's right, there's more. Mine. Oh, here we go. I also have two individuals for appointments for today's date. One is Daniel Donahue as police officer full-time effective July 1, 2014. It's a 2-year appointment. And the other appointment is Stephen Flist for acting sergeant effective July 1st, 2014, and it's a 1-year appointment.
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, first and second, any discussion? If not, Julie?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
We have one other appointment.
Oh, that's right, to the. Okay. This is a request for an appointment from Bethany Lovelace, the COA director. It is to appoint Leona DeGrace to the Templeton Council on Aging Board. She has been a dedicated associate board member and COA volunteer, and her appointment was unanimously approved by the COA board at their last meeting on the 5th of June. And do we know how long the term is?
They're 3-year term.
3-year term, so it's a 3-year term. And would it be effective on July 1?
Yes.
Did you want to say anything?
She's great. We're happy to have her.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Leona DeGrace to the Templeton Council on Aging.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
What?
Oh, everything okay? Okay, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. And it just occurred to me, I'm sorry, soon to be a police chief, that I did not ask if you had any statement regarding the 2 appointments. As they were approved, I'm assuming not, but if you do, feel free.
Well, Mr. Donahue is here.
Oh, thank you for
For
coming.
everyone to meet. And as you know, Steve Frisk has been part of the department for over 10 years. So I feel he deserves the promotion of the sergeant, acting sergeant July 1st.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming today. And congratulations on your appointment. So I believe that is all of our appointments. The gravel permits, Holly, did you want to discuss that with the class? Holly, did you want to, would it be better to discuss the gravel permits with the class 3 license, or are there 2 separate issues?
They're 2 separate ones.
Okay, so the next item we have then is the gravel permits for Hicks.
I'm actually gonna ask Kirk to talk about
Sure.
that. Can you talk about the?
Are they up for renewal? Is that why they're up for discussion?
Yes.
But Hicks is in full compliance with planning board's stormwater site assignment. As with any new gravel permits, if you got state, federal, local permits, and they're in compliance. So from a planning, permitting standpoint, they're good to go as far as the planning board is concerned.
And do we have the permits now, or they're included down with the class 3s?
So,
No, I don't have them. I was just gonna do them
Okay, sure.
after. We
So,
didn't have any issues.
okay, and it's a 3-year permit?
It's a 3-year.
3-year, so we have a 3-year permit for Hicks.
there was a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Would you have a question on the fees? Because the
I-
bylaw states
It's 500 a year.
you can award up to a 3-year permit on gravel,
Okay.
but it's at $500 per year.
But I told them I was gonna do 1,500 ahead of time because,
Yeah, you don't
So
want
we
to chase
don't-
somebody next year and
Yeah,
next year to
have to
$500.
chase them.
So if you're gonna get a 3-year permit, just in my opinion, it should be paid for your 3-year permit. If they want a 1-year permit, they can one.
And do we have any discussion on that issue? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the gravel permits for Hicks 3-year, $1,500 permit fee to be paid up front.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. I just wanted, for discussion, that it looks like it's been grandfathered.
Right, well, that was my question. That's why I didn't know if there was a separate issue or the same. So the letter that we have from the attorneys is regarding it is the class 3. What we're discussing now is also the class 3 that's in our packet with the letters from the attorney.
I don't see that. Is it, it's on the
This-
letter?
Well, no, that's what I'm asking. I guess I think that's what our question is. From the letter, it looks like the Robert M. Hicks Inc., the revival of the permit that expired on the 14th of June of this year under the Permit Extension Act, that it's being grandfathered to a new owner. Even though the parties are the same, the legal entities are different. Was that what you were?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Why they're changing what, ownership or just?
Yeah, I think it's whoever,
Title of ownership.
who owns the trust. I think the trust was transferred, wasn't it?
Well, right, it used to be, it has to deal with who the beneficiary of the trust is, and all the parties are related or the same, but the legal entities under which they're operating
There's been no
are
activity
different.
up there since the planning board issued them their, since they came into the compliance of all stormwater management and so on and so forth, so. No harm, no foul, we're still in compliance
Yeah.
because nothing's been done since they even permitted last. And as far as the Governor's Extension Act, I only knows, I've heard everybody use that from a blueberry stand to a gravel operation. No one challenges it, so it's like, oh, Governor Extension Act.
We could always continue it to the next meeting if you wanna ask questions, we could have the attorney come.
And if anybody would like to continue with, that's fine. Personally, for me, I'm fine with, as long as whoever the operator is in compliance with all state, local, and federal regulations. I'm glad that we discussed it, but for me, I'm fine with, obviously, if any member of the board would like to put it off so they can conduct their own research, I'm fine with that too.
Was there a bond in place then? Is the bond still active? They had a bond on that, right? Because you have to raise a bond,
Right.
reclamation bond.
I don't know.
It's in our
We
town, it's
would
in our
have,
town
probably have to do
bylaws.
that
Okay.
pending the bond.
That's state, so you should do it. I mean, it's a law, it's agreed. It's in our bylaws, it's spelled
It's-
out.
Right, and it's also one of the permit conditions, that the operator will post a bond of $2,500 for each acre of land being mined.
For reclamation.
Yeah. So assuming that's okay.
I'll amend the motion then to approve the permit pending proper collection of the bond.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Are the land taxes up to date on that property? Have those been looked at?
I think that's before we issue permits of this type, they're supposed to, but we can obviously check to make sure that.
We'll make that another condition.
Are you okay with amending your?
Yes.
Okay, and the second is okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll make that a condition as well, that the taxes are up to date as well. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. The next item that we have on our agenda is to discuss the Templeton Light and Water fiscal year 15 contribution. And I will be happy to outline that. So, I believe that I read this, or maybe not, previously, but I'll read it again just in case so everyone knows what the contribution is. So it is from the general manager of the Templeton Municipal Light and Water Plant. It says, to the Templeton Board of Selectmen, at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Templeton Light Commission on Tuesday, June 10th, 2014, there was a discussion in open session regarding the matter of a financial contribution to the town for their fiscal year 2015. On a motion by member Chris Stewart, seconded by Chairman Dana Blaze, the Light Commission voted 2-0 to contribute to the town in the following manner. The Light Plan agrees to give to the town the entirety of its net income from its calendar year 2013, estimated at $41,552, less a subsequent 1,000 contribution to the Recreation Department for the purpose of the funding of swimming lessons for town children, and further agrees to fund the town's electric bills for their fiscal year 2015 in the amount of $20,260, and further agrees to fund the town's municipal and roadway lighting for their fiscal year 2015 in the amount of $23,753, which shall represent a total of $75,565 in contributions from the light plant to the town. As always, please feel free to contact me directly with any questions and/or concerns. Thank you. Sincerely, John M. Driscoll, General Manager of the Templeton Municipal Light and Water Plant. So,
It's $10,000 to recreation.
oh, 10,000. Oh, I'm sorry, 10,000. Is there any discussion regarding? Yes.
I was speaking with the treasurer just this morning about recreation, and she was telling me that there's no insurance for this recreation program, the swim program, and that's something that needs to be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to continue with the swim program, because it is being taken care of by a municipality,
Mm-hmm.
there is the Christian's law that has to be adhered to, and it's gonna take more than $10,000 to fund that.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys need to look at that.
Okay.
The Christian's law mandates that every child is swim tested. They have to have life jackets that are fit tested. They have to have some way of marking whether or not they can swim, what their ability is. You know, there's a lot to this law,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't adhere to it and someone drowns, then, you know,
Yeah, you're in trouble.
yeah.
So that will be an issue then for them for the light and water commissioners to address with a.
That's what they donated the money for.
Right. Well, right. They're saying that they're going to donate the money directly, not through us. But it is ultimately because the pilot plan, because we don't have a fixed formula. It's voluntary to them. You know, whatever they deduct. So if they say they're going to deduct $15,000 for anything, if that's how they're calculating their number, we can of course inform them that, oh, by the way, $10,000 isn't going to cut it, and this and that. Then they can just say, okay, we're not giving the $10,000 too, but we can be sure to make them aware. Yeah. Is there any? Yes, sir.
I had a discussion about this afternoon, and the message has been conveyed about the need for insurance. I don't have any information, but what I was told today was that this donation might well be to the Friends as opposed to directly to the budget.
Okay.
Friends directly. In other words, the town did not appropriate a budget at the town meeting.
Right.
So there might be a legal question there.
Mhm.
I did call town council about that today, just to clarify whether or not it is permitted for a donation to Friends Group to fund the operations of the department. I think we need to clarify that
Right.
before we go forward, but that's another wrinkle there
Right.
in this project.
So any vote to accept the rest of their contribution would not be in any way a vote approving how the spending of $10,000 to the Recreation Department or any of its Friends groups. It would just be the
motion of the town meeting on the article here would be it would be 31,552.
Okay.
Be accepted and appropriated.
Gotcha.
And as you can see on the warrant, I also put an article to allow a transfer to stabilization if that's what the town meeting and select board would like to do.
Okay.
That's the place to put the money.
Right.
I think we should also be concerned, because the Templeton Light and Water is truly a municipal department, can they actually make a donation to the Friends Group? Because I mean, that's basically municipal money that you're now giving to a private organization. So I think that would be as much as concern as whether or not a private organization can fund a department.
We'll have clarification by the end of the week.
Is there any further discussion on this?
Accept the money, and then these are all details that should be worked out.
Oh, regarding the actual, do we need a vote, or would it be now, or would it be as part of the voting on the special town warrant?
I think if you agree to put the article on the warrant, that's sufficient.
Okay, and then the wording can always be changed as it needs to be between
Right,
now
and the motion would simply accept on behalf of the town meeting the donation.
Gotcha.
Contribution.
So the town will be then accepting it at the time. Any other discussion on this item? Okay. If not, our next item is from Chief Laporte. It's an account transfer.
Hello there. Background.
Thank you.
Basically, it's just an end-of-year transfer request for monies to move from salary to expense and fire to EMS to fire in general. That describes the actual detail. If you want any more, I'm more than happy to offer.
Do we have to, sorry?
No, sure, go ahead.
Anything over, what is it, 5,000?
It's 5% or, yeah, it's 5% and 5,000, whichever is less.
Oh,
No, whichever. You can't exceed $5,000 for 5%. So, and the select board has to vote this, and the advisory board has to vote.
I just met with Matt today on it and to go over a final review of it. I know it's kind of last minute, I would have had it for your packet on Friday, but needed to meet with Matt to be sure on the numbers.
and if you could just kind of generally sum this up. We're
Sure.
transferring from,
The first one, the fire chief's salary, was because there was a salary change made in my contract a year ago, but then there was no adjustment made to the budget to fund it. The second one, fire department salaries, is in a surplus because we've been lucky this year on fires. And if you look over to the right, you see the red 27. That's subtracting the deficit from the positive,
oh, gosh.
and then it works its way down the sheet the same way. Expense was at 60,000, and maintenance was at 6,000, but it was dropped to 2,000 with one of the cuts during the year, and the corresponding balances work down to the right. The bottom two, FDEMS salaries, this is the old salaries account for EMS. It actually should have been coming out of the bottom account number. That's the receipts reserved account. Basically, it funds the EMS, and then the budget is voted on, and any expense out of that in the past would come out of the account that's above it. And presently, it's coming out of receipts reserved, but I think eventually it needs to be on a separate line that the budget is voted, the money is placed, and then from that placement, the budget will run. I think it's a detail that we're gonna work out in the future. That's the basic synopsis.
Do I have a motion to approve the end-of-year requests as stated here? And again, this would also require a town meeting vote as well, correct?
No, this
No.
would be an advisory board
Oh, okay.
meeting, actually this Wednesday.
Okay,
So if the two boards concur, then the transfers
perfect.
are made.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So,
Oh, okay. Do I have a second?
second.
Second, okay, first, second. Any further discussion? If not, Julie? Oh, sorry.
But earlier you just said 5,000 or 5%. Some of these are all greater than 5%, or 5,000 for the most part, and they seem to exceed 5% also. So is that a problem, or?
The total budget,
I don't
the
understand.
total appropriation.
Oh, so it's a 5% of the total?
Bottom line, yes,
Oh.
bottom line.
I see, okay, that's what I did not understand.
So we're just switching between accounts.
Mhm.
Bottom
Okay.
line.
Julie? Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next item is from Acting Police Chief Bennett regarding an account transfer. It's also a request for a transfer between or within accounts. And did you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, I don't have a handout,
No.
it's very simple. We're looking to transfer $3,000 from the dispatch communication account, salary account, into the police expense account, because with the cuts, our expense account was devastated. We need the money to make it to the end of the year.
I will make a motion to transfer the sum of $3,000 from communications commission salary account to the police department expense account.
Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Thank you very much. Our next item is Chapter 90 Project Grant, Gardner Road, Route 101, and Pothole Project money. And I believe Mr. Chase is here. I saw him. Oh, there he is, right there. Okay.
I mentioned to the board earlier before Superintendent came in, I visited the 11 projects that are proposed, and clearly he has selected all 11 streets that are desperately in need of reconstruction and other improvements. So I would certainly recommend to the Board of Selectmen that you approve the recommendations.
And did you want to comment at all, Superintendent, regarding those?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that.
Sure.
The pothole money that the state has given all the towns and cities this season, $50,980 to the town of Templeton, will be used on Route 101 in Gardner. And we're going to combine that, or I'm going to combine that with some Chapter 90 money to make a longer repair in the area of Graves Concrete to East Templeton Center. The road deck there is in pretty rough shape, and it's costing the taxpayer a lot of money to keep that area coal patched. You put it in, it comes out, because there's a lot of heavy traffic especially on that one travel lane going to Graves and actually coming out of Graves. So I brought the administrator over there and looked at it. He was in agreement that we should use the pothole money, particularly on that area.
So you're intending to do that part first, then? That would be your first project?
No, not necessarily in the lineup. Somewhere between July 1, when my staff comes back, my crew comes back, and as long as the work is completed by September 30th for the pothole money. So it's a matter of scheduling our vendors to come in. In that particular project, it will be coal planed, like they did Bowmanville Road, and a level of course put down, and then overlaid, catch basins adjusted. I actually met with one of our vendors today, and he is recommending, because the road, he actually visited the road, walked the road with my foreman, and he indicated that to do the job properly and make it last, we need to do a couple other steps within that project. But the whole point is here is the pothole money will be expended on that project, and then additional Chapter 90 money to complete the project properly and make it last. And at the same time, you know, I'm going to try to coordinate this, because we have another adjacent street to this project that I'll schedule it so that when it comes time for hot topping, that both can be done at the same time, as far as saving some mobilization costs.
I don't have the whole list, but we're only doing the 2 streets in East Templeton, then, those 2?
That's correct. That's all I've got for East Templeton area is those 2 streets.
Okay.
The remainder of the streets are throughout town.
Right, let me just clarify, I saw all 11 projects, but this is just approval of one of the projects. And obviously, you know the restrictions on the so-called pothole money. We did sign the contract today, so we meet the deadline for that. And project will be underway. In connection with that, there is another issue, and that is, as Susan has pointed out, his employees are coming back. Some department heads are wondering if the so-called hiring freeze that you implemented last year is lifted as of the new fiscal year. So I think it'd be good to have a board clarification, because we are intending, the intention is to bring back those positions that are budgeted for fiscal 15. You could say, well, these people aren't being hired, they're just being brought back. But I think generally we need some clarification there, particularly with, for example, the COA. We have two positions there that are new for the senior center, and they would constitute new hires. So it's a good idea to hear what the selectmen feel about that.
So just again, to be clear, we are only voting to approve this particular, the Gardner Road Route 101 by Graves Concrete to North Main Street and the Route 2 intersection, correct? That's what we're voting on. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Is there a second? First and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So thank you very much.
So if we are meeting on June 30th, should we have a discussion about hiring?
Sure. Sure.
At that meeting?
And I believe that this falls within the purview of what's on the agenda, because it is a Chapter 90 project grant. As Bob said, the contract needed to be signed, and as smaller contracts that kind of fit within the overall approved, select board approved projects roll in. I think that it may, personally, I think that it may be best to authorize Bob to sign those, keeping us in the loop, the ones that by law he's allowed to sign, rather than, Bud having to panic and trying to get all of us to come together to sign the smaller. Again, we obviously will still be approving the projects, but the smaller contracts that comprise that, I would not have a problem with us, just so we have a vote of the board authorizing Bob to approve those contracts when appropriate and allowed by law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, first and second, any further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
And just to clarify, I would only sign contracts that are approved as policy matters.
Right.
In other words, we're not going to institute a new policy with my signature.
Right.
As long as you've approved pothole money,
Right.
then I think it's appropriate to sign.
Thank you very much. So our next item that we have on the agenda is a request for vacation rollover from our COA director, Bethany Lovelace. Do we have is the letter in our packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. Al, thanks. I understand we were trying to save money, but I lack the intelligence to handle two-sided paper. So if you could bear with me, I apologize. But we have a request from, as I said, Bethany Lovelace, our COA director of the Templeton Council on Aging, allowing her to carry over her remaining 32.25 hours of vacation time into the 2015 fiscal year. And the reason for the request has to do with misunderstanding of the vacation policy, and as a result, I've not used the majority of my vacation time. With the start date of July 29th, 2013, I did not earn my first week vacation until January 29th, 2014. I know you're here. Is there anything that you wanted to say more about the rollover?
In general, I think it might not be a bad idea to revisit the policy and see how it's written, because my bookkeeper and I understood it one way, and it wasn't until very recently that I came to find out that it was something different. It just seems like you're either rewarded or penalized depending on when you start, because then you've got to have 6 months before you get your vacation, but then it's use or lose by July 1st.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you know, I got it in January, and there just has not been a good time to take a vacation.
And we've had requests, obviously, from various other employees, particularly where they, as a result of the budget cuts at the end of this fiscal year, were kind of relegated to the decision of either of losing their vacation time or like shutting down their entire department for a week or 2 weeks while they went away on vacation. So, and I know that we have approved various other requests for employees that are kind of single member departments during this difficult time where there's no one to kind of fill in for a chair that is leaving. Do I have a motion to approve the request from Bethany?
So moved.
Is there a second? Your first and a second, any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So thank you. And then discuss changing job descriptions.
Okay.
But, yeah, sorry.
I'm still trying to feel out, as many of us are, what Bob's allowed to do and what he isn't allowed to do. I'm under the impression that changing job descriptions is something that Bob has under his umbrella.
So the question is, who is the authority to change actual job descriptions?
So the activities coordinator position was approved by town meeting in May of 2011. We do have the funding for it in our FY15 budget, and we'll actually need it now that we're really trying to ramp up programming to hit the ground running when we get into the new building. But I rewrote the job description to be more in line with what our needs are and be more in line with the other job descriptions of, you know, other new people that I've brought on board. So it's, the foundation is the same, but the language, the job description is more detailed and covers a little bit more than the original job description.
Yes, sir.
If I could suggest a process, obviously town meeting has to approve new positions. Board of Selectmen has to approve hiring. And I think the way we should approach it is that when we do a new hire, the job description should be updated, at least at that point, which would then be included, which I would do, and then include that in your packet so you can see the new job or any kind of change in the job description at the time you make, at the time you approve a hiring.
Does that seem like that would?
That makes sense,
yeah.
yes. And then I have a warrant for a new position in the warrant packets.
Okay.
That has not already been approved.
Gotcha. And we'll be getting to that shortly. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. If we're not, but we're giving new jobs out, but other departments are in hiring freezes, wouldn't you think you'd fill our positions first in our departments before you give out the new jobs that haven't even been filled one time yet? I mean, we didn't put into our budgets to fund our assistants because we were told you get no assistants anymore because of the hiring freeze. And now all of a sudden we got new jobs created, new people are getting hired for these new jobs, but we're still stuck in the situation of one person in the office. Excuse me. So I guess I'm kind of just questioning, like Bob brought up, the hiring freeze where we didn't fund it in our positions this year. And other departments funded them.
My interpretation would be at this point, because we already have an approved budget with the numbers done. I understand what you're saying is based on the assumption that we weren't going to be moving forward with new hiring, that that's the way that the budget was created. But I think at this point, as Bethany said, because are any of yours grant funded, the new ones, or no? Are they all?
I have one that is grant funded.
Okay.
Not these two new ones, but something else is grant funded that was town funded, and because of that, I'm now able to, so my salaries budget actually decreased from 14 to 15. It did not increase.
Okay.
It was only because I made some changes, I made some reductions in other areas, and I was able to fund another position with the grant that I was able to bring these new positions on.
Gotcha.
And I'm hoping that these two new positions, the custodial position won't be needed actually till we physically move, but I'm hoping that they're taken by people who are either laid off or partly laid off, or I'm hoping that it's a way that some employees that recently lost hours get to retain some hours. I'm hoping that's what happens. I'm hoping that that counts as an internal posting, you know, to people who were newly laid off.
And we can also discuss the whole issue of the hiring freeze and kind of the effect that it's had on next Monday, on the last day of the fiscal year, at that meeting as well, to go more into depth. Because that is a very good point, and something that we may want to address as well. So.
Yeah, because even custodial, I mean, we clean our own offices now.
Mm-hmm.
We lost our custodial for all the other town departments, I mean, so it's just, we're all expected to step up and do things and give up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, we'd like to get back before new things are given out.
Does anyone else on the board have any comments on that topic? Yeah, sure.
A comment. In the budget process, it's true that a number of departments saw positions that are already established not being funded. Apparently going back a number of months, I guess there was some consensus or agreement that with the opening of a new senior center, that there would be a need for additional positions. And I think that went right through the budget process despite all the cuts. It seemed to have the support of the advisory committee. And in case there's concern that we're going to be doing some new hires, these are the only new hires that I can think of in fiscal 15. And again, I think it reflects an agreement or consensus that goes back quite some time.
Is there any other comment on that? And again, we'll be discussing that further next week. Yes, ma'am.
It seems to me like you're punishing the departments who did what they were told. They were told to level fund, they were told to cut positions. I'm sorry, but you have no, I mean, do you realize how important the assessor's office is? And then you turn around and you tell them, and when we go in, and the assessors have always done what's told, and then they get slapped in the face of saying, oh, too bad, a custodian at the new senior center is way more important than having extra help in the assessor's office. Do you know how crazy that is?
No, I definitely understand.
So like you're
right.
punishing them, the assessor's office, because they did what they were told.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And again, my salaries line item from FY14 was reduced in FY15. It is a reduced budget. I've just changed positions. I have reduced other positions. I've chosen to use my money differently than my predecessor.
I know that obviously being, and I understand what you're saying as well, but being in a department where there's only one person, or there were only two people previously, the options for doing that kind of thing are obviously your hands are much more tied when it comes to, because every penny that you have goes for one person or to pay all the expenses that go along with being the assessor. So there isn't as much or nearly as much kind of wiggle room to be able to. And I know also because the Council on Aging, because such a large portion of your budget is not funded directly by the town's taxpayers, including your own budget, your own salary.
Half of me.
Right, the town only pays half your salary. That also provides you different opportunities that a lot of other departments, like the assessors,
it certainly does. And
don't have.
And I am not ignoring the situation that you guys are in. And I fought for my department, and I didn't get everything I fought for, but I got what's going to be enough. And all I'm doing is trying to use that.
And I believe that those positions were in the budget that was approved.
They are in the budget.
By advisory.
Yes.
And town meeting. So they adopted, but this is the budget that was adopted at town meeting. So we can go back, whatever we decide on June 30th, we can decide what we're going to do, how we're going to implement, if we're bringing people back, or if we're filling positions that have been vacant for a while. But all of that is going to take money, and that has not been identified yet, and it wasn't built into the 15 budget that was approved in May.
And I guess my issue just is the hiring freeze.
Right.
That's what we were told, across the board. So, just as long as you know that.
And again, maybe if in the past we had put the money where it belongs in the financial part of this town, the treasurer, the collector, the accountant, the assessor's office, maybe we wouldn't be in this financial mess we're in right now.
I completely agree, 100%. Completely agree. If that is all then on that topic, I think that was all.
That's all. If it's okay for Bob to say that my job description can change, then great.
And then
not mine, but that person's.
Right. And then they ultimately will come through us anyway.
Yes.
Approve the hire. So, The next item that we have on the agenda is to discuss the Class 2 and Class 3 license. The Class 3 license we have already dispatched with, which was the Hicks, I believe.
That was a gravel.
Oh, that was the gravel part. Okay, so then I can handle the first. I need to recuse myself from the Class 2 license, so if it's okay, I'd like to handle the Class 3 license first.
They're together.
Oh, right, but we have another. I see what you're saying. All of the licenses that have to do with, from Michael D. Smith, trustee of the Templeton Trust, the 2 and the 3, we can handle those first, and then the additional.
No, I think are we doing something else?
We have.
Was 2 and 3 on the gravel permit too? Is that what you're saying?
No, for the Class 2 license that you received the email from Attorney Shear about.
Yep, that's Class 3 too. The junk license is Class 3.
Okay, so that's the one that I need to recuse myself from, so I can be here for whatever the other ones are. But we do have 2 parties, correct?
It's all the same parcel.
No, I think it's just them.
It's all the same parcel, Ken. It's all
Okay.
one big license.
For all of them?
Multiple
Yeah.
licenses on the same parcel.
Gotcha. Okay, so then.
That confuses me too.
Yeah, so this is also the Putnams.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, well, then I'm leaving right now. Goodbye. So, so I'll leave it to you, John, or whoever else.
Just sort of, let's all get on the same page here. What document is it we'll get out?
The email from,
It's from Barry Shear.
Shears to Holly.
Okay. We'll start, I'll read it so everybody knows what we're talking about here. Was sent to Holly from Barry Shear, regarding license issue Class 2 and junk licenses. As per my telephone conference with you earlier today, I'm trying to determine what we can do so that my client can apply for Class 2 and junk licenses at 411 Baldwinville Road. The property is currently under agreement with the Putnams. While we have received some suggestions, and I'm appreciative of them, it's necessary to figure out something that is acceptable to the buyer, seller, and lenders, as our lenders will not loan money for the acquisition of a business property unless they are assured that the business will be permitted to operate. To that end, we are contemplating having the seller deed the property to the buyer without yet recording the deed, so the transaction could be unwound with minimum effort if the licenses are not issued. As I explained, the deed evidences of the transfer of title. The recording is for the protection of the party that is necessary to secure one's superior rights in the property, but it is the deed itself which transfers title. That said, I want to make sure that the board is comfortable with this solution. Also, time is somewhat of the essence, so I would be very appreciative if this could be addressed earlier rather than later. Thank you again, Barry Shear. So, I guess in essence what we're looking at is the Putnams are transferring this to another party, is that correct? Bill, you wanna?
I'm Bill's daughter, Wendy. They're selling the property and the business.
Yeah.
So we need to know what to do to transfer the Class 2 and the Class 3 licenses. What paperwork do we need from the town to transfer to the new owner? And once we get the paperwork done, bring it back to you. We want to know if we can get it done at the next town meeting on July 14th. The next selectman meeting.
Okay. Bob?
What do you need to do to transfer the license?
Bob, you
It'd
wanna?
be similar to Stan. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Kirk.
We as a town just did this with Stan's automotive in East Templeton about 6-8 months, within the last year.
Right.
And if my memory serves me right, the new people just came and filled out their license form